So welcome to this edition of Real People, and today we've got David Carson with us, who is, kind of helps with the Sun Supporters Trust.
I'm the current vice chair. I'm one of the co-founders, Paul.
Okay, and that was founded really for the fans.
Well, it was the idea of the trust. It was part of a growing movement back about 25 years ago, where a lot of clubs felt, the fans felt there was a dislocation between the club management and the support, and trusts were formed to provide that link and also to provide kind of tangible support to the club as well. It's been much more successful at smaller clubs than bigger clubs because they tend to operate to a different model.
Just for people who don't know the Sun, obviously locally we know the Suns as Dumbarton Football Club, but it's Dumbarton Football Club we're talking about here.
Yes, absolutely. And you'll not be surprised to hear that the membership is mostly very keen supporters of the club, although we do have members who support it on a basis that it's a community club and they like the idea of that and they like to be part of that. And I would say, without being modest, that I think over the years we've been successful. It's been good for both parties.
Good. So obviously just now they've got to be realistic about the situation of the club a wee bit as well. It's not in the best situation just now.
No, the administration, I've got to say, Paul, it came as a nasty shock to a lot of people, but it didn't necessarily come that much to those of us in the trust board who have been very close to the action. I mean, we sent out a press statement when it happened. It was a shock, but not a surprise to us, that the club had been struggling for a number of years. There's a lot of off-the-field issues there, and ultimately it came down to finances. But we're not the first club to have entered administration. The one thing I would say is that if you look back through football clubs who in the last 40, 50 years who have gone through this process, almost all of them have emerged, and we are hopeful that we're going to do that as well.
And hopefully better for it in the long run.
Yeah, I think it was something that was coming. But we got a wee bit of flack in some quarters because we got up this morning and found that their club was getting plunged into administration. They wanted to know why. And the simple answer to that was because it's like a game of poker. If any of us had gone public, then the ownership would have been able to take action, which would probably have been detrimental to the future of the club. Okay,
so it's now in administration.
It's in administration.
How are things going with that?
Well, it's not a situation you want to be in, but what I would put in record is that the company who are dealing with it is a company, they're Glasgow-based, although they're UK-wide, Quintuma. The two administrators, Craig Morrison and Ian Wright, in our experience have been absolutely excellent. They've kept us informed, they've been very candid at times. The opening meeting was one I don't want to go through again. I don't think any of us do, where it was starkly put to us that the club needed X by the end of the season to survive. And that night, one of my colleagues, Cameron, who was a club director as well as the trust director, he set up a GoFundMe, and that shot to over £100,000 round about Christmas. I mean, the reaction to that was tremendous. And I'd say as well that whilst for the most part it was supporters, it was the local community, it was really, really interesting to see the donor list. There was so many from overseas, so many from sister clubs in the UK, and there is a community in football. You know, we stick together, and guys for other clubs that have been through it, you know, their £20 was invaluable as well.
I guess there'd be expats as well.
There's expats, so that has been the basis for the club to continue playing this season, to literally pay the wages and keep the lights on. But looking further ahead, we're now at a crucial stage, entering the end of February here, that the administrators are hoping to confirm land ownership, which has been in dispute as part of this process. And once they do that, they can hopefully move on to speak to the prospective buyers. There's been over 20 notes of interest, but they have told us that of them, there are 6 or 7 that are realistic
ones,
and a couple of them that actually sound more
Quite
than
promising.
realistic, quite promising, and we're allowing ourselves to hope, but we're still having to work very hard to get there. We can't take the foot off the gas.
So at the moment, I'm guessing you're still in a fundraising mode.
We are in a fundraising mode, but it's switched now. We don't have any kind of overarching committee or person who's directing this. It's been a bit fluid and a bit organic, but I'm pleased to say that you can't just keep asking people for money. That gets you so far. So what we've got coming up is, and I'd like to talk about a couple of these briefly.
Yeah.
We've got a night on the 27th of March, Thursday the 27th of March, which is already approaching sellout. It's a night with Tam Cowan, the well-known broadcaster.
I heard there's a Robert Ryan was in the show.
Robert Ryan was in the show. I've known Tam for over 30 years, and I met him in Arden. I normally meet him at New Year in Arden, and we had a long chat. And out the blue in January, he texted Robert and I and said he's done this sort of thing before, and he'd be happy to do it at the Rock, and he's doing it free of charge. Wow. Now that's what a golden ticket come into your lap there, So that's selling really well. We've also got a soul night with Soul Sensations down at the club, and last night I learned through Robert that he's managed to fix up a local musician, singer, well known, good established following, Alan Ryden, who does a great Billy Joel, Elton John. So it's changed a bit. In other words, people are now getting something for their ticket money. You've got to kind of mix and match. People feel better if they come, they get a bit of buffet, they get a laugh, they get a dance, enjoy the music.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and it doesn't need to be football fans. The great thing is the audience at Tam's night will be different from the audience at the Soul night, and a bit different for Alan. So we're hitting more bases there, So that's been going quite well, and we're pleased at that.
How many people can go to these nights? What's the kind of number?
Well, Tam's is 200.
And where can they get tickets for this kind of stuff?
Well, the tickets can be done basically through two avenues. The club works with a company called Fanbase, and when people go on there, they will see a list of clubs. They hit the Dumbarton one, that will take them into the Dumbarton portal, and then if they hit at the bottom of the screen, schedule events, the events are different for the match tickets, and they can buy them there. Now, there's a lot of people maybe a bit reticent about that, about cards over the internet and that. They can actually contact the club, and the club will do it for them as well. So that's the way we're operating. I've got to say it's been really efficient up to now, and it's been quite smooth. And we can gauge the numbers day by day as well and see how it's going. The other thing about that is, and I maybe shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway, but you guys all know what I'm talking about here, is if you get people buying the ticket in advance, it's not like we'll get the ticket on the night, because if it's a pouring wet night, they maybe no turn up,
So you're paying
but I don't mean to be cynical there, but going back to the win-win, if they don't show, we understand, but they've made their contribution, so
that's fair enough.
What's not to like?
No, you're talking about one of the oldest clubs in Scotland.
Fifth oldest, 23rd of December 1872.
Wow.
So we're hoping in December will be 153. And
listen, the football itself, what are the highlights? Ignoring the financial stuff, has there been some good highlights this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, we reacted quite well to it. And if truth be told, Paul, we get promotion last season through the playoffs, and we always knew this was going to be a difficult season anyway on the pitch. So if administration had never come into view, we were probably going to be at the bottom end of the table. So the 15-point deduction was a hammer blow. You might be aware that Inverness preceded us. There's two clubs in that division, but Inverness still have more about them in terms of their playing staff and their infrastructure. We suffer for the pitch is in a terrible condition as well. No, I've got to say, it's no help with two teams playing on it. It's used every week. So that in itself was an indication of the club's straitened position, that we were actually we're renting out to Broom Hill, but the pitch is taking a terrible toll.
Okay.
But I'm happy to say that the attitude, the management and the players, they have been 101% behind it.
Okay.
And the fans are sticking by it as well.
So basically, to sum up, the morale in the team is good.
Yep.
The morale with the fans is good.
Yep.
And you see a positive future going
Well, we
forward.
see a positive future. If you don't, you really shouldn't be involved in it. You know, one of the strange aspects of it is the trust was founded to support the club, but we never ever thought it would be in this manner,
Yeah.
a life or death. And I mean, self-praise is no praise, but we have stepped up and the public has stepped up. If we don't make it, it will not be for the lack of trying.
And if the
you
trust
know.
hadn't been in existence in a way,
Yeah, well,
it'd
what
be a
it-
lot harder.
Yeah, and what it did, it gives people a focus and they buy into it. We've got about 300 odd members, which doesn't sound a great deal, but if you get a percentage of them who work really hard,
Yeah.
and they do, it's amazing what can happen. And I look up the road at what's happened at Clyde Bank, and I was involved in their demise a wee bit because a couple of our guys went up and spoke with their guys, and that was really sad. But they are proof that going down into a dark place needn't be the end.
No.
They have reinvented themselves, and I'm getting on a bit now, but I'm confident I'll see a Dumbarton Clyde Bank derby again
That'd be
in
good.
the Scottish senior leagues.
Right.
And that's a target to aim for.
Listen, I just want to wish you all the success.
Thanks.
I hope your fundraising goes well, and I hope the club gets to the right place it should be eventually.
Well, watch this space, as I say, Paul.
So I'd just like to thank you, David, for coming in today and being in this episode. And the GoFunding is still live, isn't it?
The GoFundMe page, Paul, is still live and it can be accessed through the Dumbarton FC website. It's currently running at about £105,000, but anyone can still add to that and it'd be most welcome. And thanks to you guys for giving us the platform to get our message across.
So thanks again, David, and until the next time, bye for now.